Property owner predicament. Short-term rental, residential or commercial use. Whether you're a seasoned real estate mogul or a first-time buyer, you know that being a property owner has many rights and responsibilities. From paying taxes to maintaining your home or rental property, being a property owner is no small feat. As a property owner, one of the many questions that might be on your mind is whether the short-term rental is considered a residential or commercial use. This question has been hotly debated in recent years, as the rise of platforms like Airbnb and VRBO has made it easier than ever before for people to rent out their homes or apartments on a short-term basis. As a property owner, it's important to understand the legal obligations and potential consequences of renting out your property for short-term stays. But before we get into it, don't forget to like and share this video with your friends. Be sure to subscribe to our channel to get notified of the next video from us. Shall we start? Legal obligations of property owners. So you've decided to dip your toes into the short-term rental game, but knowing the legal obligations of being a short-term rental host is important before you start counting your profits. First off, let's talk about the financial side of things. As a property owner, you're already familiar with the costs of maintaining your property. Well, those costs don't disappear when you start renting your property short-term. You'll still have to pay for repairs, upkeep, taxes, and any other monthly dues for owning a property. If you're renting out your property as a landlord, you must also file taxes for your rental earnings. And depending on where you live, you may need to obtain permits or go through other legal processes to ensure your short-term rental business is up and up. Now let's talk about property rights. As a property owner, you can do whatever you want with your property. You can keep it all to yourself, rent it out, or sell it to someone else. However, it's important to remember that rules and regulations may limit what you can and can't do with your property. Residential zoning laws. If you're considering renting out your property short-term, it's important to understand the residential zoning laws that may affect your plans. Local government branches or countries create zoning laws to regulate land use within specific zones. Each zoning district has regulations that dictate what structures can be built and what activities are allowed on the property. For example, if your property is located in a zone designated for single-family homes, you may only be allowed to rent it short-term if you obtain a special exception. On the other hand, short-term rentals may be permitted if your property is in a mixed-use zone that allows for both residential and commercial activities. If you're interested in requesting an exception to the zoning laws in your area, you can apply for a variance. However, remember that the process can vary depending on your municipality and may involve a public hearing where community members can voice their concerns or support. It's also important to note that zoning laws are different from the rules set by homeowners associations, or HOAs. While HOA rules can impact how you use your property, they are not enforced by the local government but are created by the HOA itself. Short-term rental regulations. Short-term rental regulations have become increasingly common as the industry continues to grow. These regulations aim to protect the interests of property owners, visitors, and neighbors and ensure the safety of all parties involved. Municipalities have introduced zoning codes or ordinances that distinguish short-term rental dwellings from other types of accommodation to regulate short-term rentals. These regulations typically require annual operating licenses or permits, restrict short-term rentals to certain zones, and limit the licenses issued. Some cities have residency requirements and may have different rules for non-hosted and hosted stays. For instance, in Santa Monica, California, eligible residents can apply for a home sharing permit and business license to home share their primary residence. However, unhosted rentals of 30 days or less are not permitted. On the other hand, some cities like Irvine, California, have completely banned short-term rentals in residential areas. Property owners must be aware of these regulations and ensure they comply with local laws. Violating these regulations may lead to fines or legal action. Property taxes for short-term rentals. As a property owner considering renting out your space for short-term rentals, it's important to understand the tax implications that come with it. Unlike traditional long-term rentals, short-term rentals are not considered rental activities by default. If you have losses from a short-term rental business, you can use those losses to offset non-passive income without qualifying as a real estate professional. However, to do so, you must materially participate in the activity by meeting certain tests, such as participating in the activity for more than 500 hours during the year. If you plan on renting out your primary residence or vacation home, it's important to note that if you rent it out for 14 days or less throughout the year, you don't have to pay taxes on the income. However, if you rent it out for 15 days or more, you must report your income on Schedule E of your tax return, and your expenses are only deductible to the extent of your income. Homeowners Association regulations. If you're a property owner, considering renting out your home on Airbnb, it's important to know whether your homeowners association allows short-term rentals. While some HOAs have rules specifically addressing short-term leasing, transient occupancy, or home-based businesses, others may not. In cases where the HOA doesn't have any specific regulations regarding short-term rentals, it's generally fine for homeowners to rent out their properties on Airbnb. However, it's essential to be mindful of the complaints of neighbors who may not be pleased with having a revolving door of guests next door. This may lead them to report you to the HOA, which could result in consequences such as fines or even legal action. If you're unsure about the HOA's regulations or have received a complaint, it's best to contact the HOA and seek clarification on their stance on short-term rentals. Insurance for short-term rentals. As a property owner who plans to rent out their home short-term, it's important to have proper insurance coverage to protect yourself and your property. Several companies offer short-term rental insurance, including Allstate, Farmers, Foremost, Nationwide, Progressive, and Proper. When shopping around for a policy, comparing quotes from different companies is important to ensure you're getting the best price for the coverage you need. Allstate's Host Advantage home sharing insurance discounts cleaning services, while Farmers' policy is geared towards landlords and offers tenant screening reports. Foremost allows you to personalize your policy with different options, and Nationwide offers an endorsement or rider to your existing homeowners or condo policy for occasional short-term rentals. Progressive's landlord policy covers lost rental income due to covered losses, and Proper's 4-in-1 policy covers short-term rentals, personal use, occasionally unoccupied homes, and long-term guests or tenants. Liability issues for property owners. As a property owner hosting short-term rentals, you must protect yourself from liability issues. Liability insurance for hosts covers you in case you're legally responsible for bodily injury, damage, or theft of property belonging to a guest or others and damage caused by a guest to common areas. To stay safe as an Airbnb host, you can follow these simple steps. Number 1. Connect with your guests and be friendly toward them. It helps build trust and reduces the likelihood of any accidents or mishaps. Number 2. Take insurance seriously and purchase liability insurance that specifically covers short-term rentals. Number 3. Get to know your renters before approving their booking request. Communication with them beforehand can help ensure they are responsible and respectful guests. Number 4. Enlist others to help monitor your property, such as a property manager or trusted neighbor. And finally, number 5. Set clear rules and expectations for your guests, such as no smoking or pets, and ensure they are communicated effectively. This can help prevent accidents and avoid misunderstandings. Noise and disturbance complaints. As a property owner renting out your space on Airbnb, it's essential to be considerate of your neighbors and avoid noise and disturbance complaints. One way to do this is by being transparent with your neighbors about your plans to rent out your property. This can help set the tone for a respectful relationship with your community. Additionally, screening potential guests before accepting bookings and communicating clear house rules in your Airbnb listing can help prevent any problems. Attaching penalties to any rule violations is important to discourage unruly behavior. Installing noise measurement devices inside and outside your property can also keep your neighbors safe from excessive noise levels. Impact on the local community. Short-term rentals, while economically beneficial for individual property owners and guests, significantly impact the surrounding community. The proliferation of short-term rentals has resulted in reduced availability of affordable housing options, higher rents, and weakened neighborhood social connections. Short-term rentals can also provide guests with unique and memorable travel experiences despite the negative effects. In addition, they can contribute to a sense of community development by allowing travelers to stay in local homes and promoting a sense of connection and belonging within the community. To address the negative impact of short-term rentals, property owners can take steps such as limiting the number of guests, maintaining good relationships with neighbors, and communicating clearly with guests about expectations and rules. Property owners need to consider the rental's impact on the local community and take responsibility for being a positive influence. The rise of short-term rentals has created a predicament for property owners as they decide whether to use their property for residential or commercial purposes. While short-term rentals can provide significant income, they can also disrupt neighbors and the surrounding community. What will you surely remember among these guides we have for you? Comment down below and share it with us. Again, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. See you next time.